in the Olympic team.
She wanted to install her own people in the Olympic team and charge for the tickets. So she charged 90,000 Mexican pesos per person, which roughly comes to $10,000, $9,000.
So if John had 90 grand to stump up, he could buy himself a spot on the Olympic karate team.
Basically. She has all of the electronic signatures because she's the secretary. So she forged a document faking an election in which she gets elected, which is the most ridiculous, absurd plan I've ever heard.
Wow.
Because sure, you can forge my signature, but the moment I see it, I'm going to be like, I didn't sign that shit, which is what happened. So basically, she did that. Then she went to the World Karate Federation and got legitimized as the president. And then she came back to Mexico. So then all of the Mexican presidents of the states and the Mexican Federation are like, what the hell is going on? So they're starting to move. They're starting to make, trying to contact her, asking what the hell is going on with you? Like, this is crazy. What's going on? And then when they realize that this is actually her trying to take over, then they start putting legal suits in place. And then she starts intimidating presidents and faking federations when she cannot intimidate them. So bear in mind, most of the presidents are my age or younger because they just renew. So there's very few old presidents that can actually stand up to her and be like, mate, you're crazy. I'm not going through with that. Through bribery, intimidation, and fake elections, she started putting different people into different places of power to consolidate her power. So let's say you three are the presidents of 3 different states, and I come and it's like, hey, are you going to support me or are we going to have a problem? You're like, no, I'll support you. I'm like, good. Are you going to support me? No. So Dave doesn't want to support me. Great. I will put Stuart in Dave's place, and I will say Stuart is the actual president of that state. And since I'm the president, everyone will follow through. So then there's a lot of confusion. There's still a lot of confusion in Mexico. Half of the athletes that were in the pre-Olympic team are competing in one federation. Half of the athletes are competing in the other. Wow. They don't even have a clue what's happening. And the national Mexican sporting body said, no, you're crazy. You're not the real president. We're not supporting you, and there's no money for you. But the World Federation, the World Karate Federation, thought she was the president, so they could support her and tell the other guy, like, no, you're not the president. She's the president. She came in with a signed act.
She's a bit of an expert on this.
Oh, she's very clever.
Very smart.
Because even with all of the legal lawsuits, because she's a lawyer, she was able to push them back. So sure, she will still have to face court. But Olympics... the only thing is it's a race against the clock, so she just needed to push it back long enough.
So her ambition in doing this was to install who she wanted in the Olympic team.
She wanted to install her own people in the Olympic team and charge for the tickets. So she charged 90,000 Mexican pesos per person, which roughly comes to $10,000, $9,000.
So if John had 90 grand to stump up, he could buy himself a spot on the Olympic karate team.
Basically. But she could go first to John, and if John doesn't want it, then she picks Paul, and then, she could go down by preference and money. And as I said, she's very brilliant and very stupid at the same time, because she sold all of the places to the people she thought that were going to win and to the people she thought that they were going to give her political gains. None of them won, but she did got some political gains. But then one of my very old competition colleagues, we were actually together in our first national team. So the first time I made it to the national team was his first time we were together. We shared a room. And they didn't summon him because he didn't pay the fee. But they didn't have anyone else. So they didn't took anyone in that division. They make an official announcement saying they were taking the official team. He was not in that announcement. And then to make it even more bizarre, when they made it to Paris, they enrolled him. Oh yeah, and they called him and they told him, hey, you're competing tomorrow in Paris in case you want to make it. So of course there's no way.
Mexico.
Yeah. So of course there's no way. And also with the time difference Paris versus Mexico is against. Because if you call me to Australia, I'm ahead. If you call me to Mexico, I'm behind.
So they just did that to look good in front of the international committee.
Yeah, exactly. So very humiliatingly, Mexican flag comes up with the name of my colleague, and no one shows up. So it's a deserted division. So obviously Mexico loses that place, and it looks like just he didn't care enough to show up. But then the public outrage came out because in Mexico, everyone was wondering why they didn't selected him for the official team. And then when they were like, yeah, we did, here he is, and he didn't show up. They were like, no, you didn't. Here are the screenshots. 2021, mate.
There's still some confusion within the sport as to how to move forward from here.
Yes, because she made all of these fake federations. So a lot of federations are being unconsolidated, like basically divide and conquer.
Yeah, sort of all of that. That was very clear and apparent to you from that drunken discussion was that you weren't going to be a part of the Mexican team for as long as she had any involvement.
So what I was hoping for last time we talked was the courts to come to terms, because if the courts come in and sanction her, then everything comes back to order and the normal president comes back to ruling, and then the original team comes back up. But because she was able to push all of this down, she just remained long enough. And she picked on her own team, and she sent her own team, which, by the way, I kicked all of the asses in the last national championship in Mexico.
Let's just be very, very clear.
Just the males, because I don't fight the females. But yes, all of the males that went to the Olympics, I fought with them in the nationals. And some of them didn't even have a shot. That is what annoys me. Like,
that's really
so
hard.
Mexico.
It's really hard.
I've
had similar people I've competed against who I've just smashed in canoeing, like seconds in front of, who are now competing at the Olympics.
And even more heartbreaking when you come from the perspective of, unlike, say, track and field events and maybe even kayaking, karate's unlikely to come back as an Olympic sport. So there's the chance of being able to compete in the next Olympics is almost non-existent.
Definitely. Many people tell you like, many people tell you like, oh, don't worry, next 4 years, or there will be a next time. And I believe that in some very unconscious level, if you're doing kayaking or, track field or anything that is going to repeat, that sort of soothes your soul, because you're like, oh, yeah, like, you're right, I may have another go.
Yeah.
But in this case, like, there's nothing they can tell me. Because when they tell me, like, oh, there's always the next time, I'm like, actually, there's not.
No.
They're just blank face. They just look at me like, oh. The thing is, sure, not being able to fulfill a dream is shattering, but not being able to fulfill a dream because people are plotting against you for personal gains. That is just messed up.
And I can understand. At play. It's more difficult to understand.
I can understand why all of these 23, 20, 19-year-old athletes are quitting with tears in their eyes, thinking, I will never come back to this shit.
You say you give it your best, and if you work hard, you train hard, you do all the right things, and you've got loads of talent, there's a chance you could be the best. And it seems like from this story and from others that we've heard, that you can do all of those things, and you can't really say that to a young child anymore. You've got to have all of that, and then you've got to have the politics on your side, and then you've got to be friends with the right people, and then you've got to have the right type of money and the right sponsor, and that is the thing that kills the Olympic dream. Everybody can handle losing because of their.
If you're better than me, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'd be happy for that. Any day of the week. Anyone who's genuinely better than me can beat me, and I will be happy. And I would have been so happy, and you put it so well there. Like, I left my sport. I left canoeing, and I was really good at it. And I have to remind myself that, because maybe like you, I was made to feel like I was crap. And I was, best in Australia or top 2 or top 3 all the time from my first smash. Okay, not the very beginning, but from when I got to that level, that was arm wrestling. But when I got to that level, I was always there. And it's funny reflecting, because I felt like I was shit because of those factors. And what you said is, I've left now. I've left that sport for that reason.
What's next for you, Carlos, in combat sports?
So I have these young athletes that want me to help them succeed. But I know the pathway through South Australia is so corrupted. It's come to a point that even my students have been verbally confronted by adults. And I'm speaking a 12-year-old being spoken by an adult that is trying to put him down to get to me, or to put me down to get to him, in order for, as you said, the club to fail. And you're like, this is not right. This is not what should happen. So what is next? I believe I could step back away from competition for a little bit. At the end of the day, the real competition is just you. The real competition is against yourself. You know, knowing that you were true to yourself and knowing that you didn't give up into it, that in the face of adversity, when everything is against you, you still have the wholesomeness of standing up and saying, no, that's wrong. I'm not going to take the corrupted pathway. I'm not going to take the bribe. I'm not going to take what you're offering me because it goes in detriment of myself and my soul. You know that speaking of this is going to bring me trouble. Like I'm doing my best to keep names, real names out of it, because it's not about publicly shaming John. It's just about saying, hey, this is happening. And I don't think, taking the name again, I don't think John is the problem. I think John needs to realize he's been fucking up. And he needs to step up to be a better person and to be a better sports leader.
No other option of getting in for Mexico or for Australia. It's absolutely dead in the water, or there's maybe a glimmer of...
No, it's dead in the water.
Jeez. It's hard to hear that.